Here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
USA Today states that the city I'm sitting in is the number one place to live in the United States. Meridian, Idaho is where we're broadcasting from today. We're at Unbound, a co-working worker space here in Meridian, Idaho. And we're talking a little bit about the FAA ruling and drones. If you registered your drone, you'll probably want to stay tuned to hear what we have to say about that. We're also going to be talking a little bit about the Obama administration and their signing off on the potential to have a brand new autonomous corridor or corridors across the United States. We'll be talking to Ms. Metaverse Katie Quinn about that a little bit later. And, of course, I have quite a few guests here sitting with me today in Unbound, and we're going to get right into it. Jody Voorhees with Unite Connections and Lonnie Brahman with 3D Filmmaker. Is sitting here. Jim is clapping. By the way, of course, if you're close to your computer and want to join us on Blab, we're broadcasting live there as well, so join us on Blab. And anyway, Jim, how was your weekend?
Not too shabby. I caught up on my sleep, as I always try to do, and I watched the game last night. I saw a drone flying over the gridiron.
So did you make the determination if it was a security drone or a one that had a camera attached to it?
I'm guessing it was some kind of Skycam thing, because they did have a lot of eye in the sky type pictures during the game. So that's probably what it was.
You know, in the future, covering sports like that, what they'll actually do is they'll use drones, and they will actually be assigned a player.
Yeah.
So, you know, they'll be able to identify who that player is by a number or some type of tag in them. So they'll always be keeping the camera on that player. So that always will, that'll actually bring in more interesting views in these games in the future.
Wait a minute. Then, for example, the quarterback for the Panthers, he'll have a cam.
Right.
Just saying.
I love it. So... Anyway, we're going to get right into it here. Lonnie is sitting right next to me here with 3D Filmmaker. How you doing, Lonnie?
Good. How you doing? Thanks for having me this morning.
I'm excited to have you on board as well. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your company?
Well, actually, you had it a little bit off. It's 3dfilamentmakers.com.
I knew I was making a mistake.
And what we do is we manufacture 3D filament for 3D printers.
Okay.
It's an extrusion process. We specialize in polylactate acid. It's not lactate, lactic acid, which is a corn-based material, which is very safe, very little fumes, and is used a lot in libraries and schools for the emerging 3D printing market.
So let's talk a little bit about 3D printing first. You know, some people might be listening. I'm sure many people have heard about 3D printing, but what is the basis behind 3D printing?
Well, back in the day when you used to have large printing presses to do like magazines, that was an offset press, and that was for long runs. And then you had injection molding machines that were invented for long runs. So basically, this is the digital version of printing, but it's also basically set up like a CNC robot. And you put in a program, and you put in the right filament, and you draw whatever you want to draw, and it actually makes a part right in front of your eyes. So it builds it from the bottom up, just builds it up, real intricate things that could be made.
So basically, the cup of coffee I have sitting in front of me here, that cup could be printed with a 3D printer, or a part for a space shuttle, or any of those type of things. It's basically whatever you can imagine now, isn't it?
It's very limitless. Yeah, you could scan that cup, your coffee cup there, and plug it into the machine, and it would print that cup.
And of course, this goes everything from very small parts. There's actually companies that are starting to develop ways to build homes with 3D printers. We talk a lot about human organs and 3D printing. We're not quite talking about that today here. We're just talking about the filament that goes into standard 3D printing. So your corn-based filament, is this a biodegradable type of product, or is it something that will stand up long term?
It's biodegradable. Over time, it's going to break down.
Absolutely. Okay. So compared to a plastic filament, then what's the breakdown time?
Well, you have an ABS material, which is going to be a little bit harder material, and it's not going to have the ability to break down nearly as quickly.
Okay. So is that the purpose behind a corn-based filament, then, is the fact that you don't have a piece of plastic in a landfill that's going to be there for, a million years before it starts to break down.
Well, that's part of it, but also the fact that it's very safe. It doesn't create the fumes as some of the other plastics do. And
Okay.
so for students and for people in libraries and schools, it's a safe product.
And there's no doubt about that. As a kid, I'm going to go back a few years, I remember melting plastic bottles.
Stinks.
Oh, my goodness. My mom came home one day, and she was like, what in the world have you kids been doing today? But we thought we could just melt the stuff and pour it into molds and make something cool out of it. That's not quite how it works. And the fumes are toxic when you melt the stuff. And what's crazy about it is that you and I drink our sodas and everything out of this stuff now already. So this is actually a much safer way of, is it a food? I'm trying to remember the exact term for this, but you can make products that you can serve food from food grade. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I believe so. And I mean, I'm not a scientist about that, but I've made some parts, cups, things like that, and I don't see a problem drinking out of it. But I'm not a scientist.
So how do we find your website?
Well, just go online and go to 3dfilamentmakers.com. And basically, it's a new site. We're just getting it launched off, but it is an affiliate marketing program. So anybody out there that wants to get involved and make some good money selling 3D filament and 3D printing products, just simply get on there, become an affiliate, and all you do is basically refer people and buy products online, and you make some money back, 15% commission-based, and it's kind of a very neat program.
All right. I really appreciate you being on the show today, Lonnie. We're going to have you and Jody swap there since we have just one mic here. And again, everybody just hop on to 3dfilamentmaker.com. You can learn more about what Lonnie has going on here in Idaho. Just a fun, one of those many type of things that you probably wouldn't think is being developed here in Idaho, but that's one of the reasons that Meridian, where I'm sitting at right now, is probably one of the reasons why they're ranked number one in the country as far as a place to live. Welcome to the show, Jody.
Awesome. Thanks, Marlo.
Yeah. So anyway, you are with Unite Connections, and I know we're going to be running against the clock here, so Jim's going to be giving me the countdown here any moment, I'm sure. And so let's just why don't you give us just a quick detail about what your company does?
So Unite Connections is all about connecting business owners and giving them resources to grow and get the access that they need for advertising, for B2B networking, and for business education to kind of filter those gaps and create opportunities for them to really connect with each other and learn the things that they need, and then be able to promote their products and their business.
All right.
Our local community.
And with that, I guess we're gonna put you on hold right there. After the break, everybody will continue our conversation. Coming from Meridian, Idaho, with Jody Borges with Unite Connection. So come on back.
Follow the Guru of Geek at Facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or TheTechRanch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
Jody Borges. Jody is the lead with Unite Communications. Okay, very good. And Jody, you were just telling us a little bit about what you do for businesses, and why don't you tell us a little bit about how you work with startups, especially tech startups?
Well, for one, startups need to know other business owners. They are able to get resources as well. We also are located in the New Ventures Lab, which is designed to support and facilitate startups with venture capitalists and fundraising and all of those different things. So we really are in an incubator area for startup businesses and specifically startup tech businesses. We're literally just across the parking lot from Unbound. And so with that, in addition to the technology aspect, we have also created a B2B calendar here in Meridian that allows business owners to be able to find all of the different networking events. There wasn't a calendar that they could go to in one place on one website prior to us launching this new website. So we're pretty excited about being able to connect those business owners and then also facilitate with some of the education portals that we have that they can go and learn how to code, how to create websites, how to design, all of those different things that they could find with different online portals and online education that they could have.
So do you have a funding mechanism as well? I mean, grant writing or anything else that the state of Idaho will hop in and help provide?
That usually is facilitated with a lot of the crowdfunding and through some of the grant writing with New Ventures Lab as well.
Okay.
So if we get business owners that are really in need as far as technology and that startup and that capital and growth, we then kind of refer them into New Ventures Lab, which is where like I said, where our office is located.
Okay. And online, where do we find you?
Online, you can find us at uniteconnections.com.
UniteConnections.com. All right. Appreciate you being on the show. Again, this is just one of the reasons why the Boise Meridian area is a up-and-coming, or actually rated number one in the country as far as USA Today is concerned. Next up, we have Ron Kern. Ron is a published author, and he's sitting across the room here. That's right. It's only a live radio show, Ron, so yeah.
That is certainly my fault. Sorry about that.
How are you doing today?
I am awesome.
That's wonderful. Glad to have you on the show.
I was all intrigued with the 3D printing. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, it is pretty cool, isn't it? And one of the things with Unbound here, I haven't had a chance to really go through and discover all the things. They have a sound studio in this place. They have 3D printing. They have a 36-inch printer. And this is all the business community, startup community can use this stuff just free of charge here.
Right. I know. I know where I'm going to be this week.
That's crazy. I think I'm going to hang out here too. It's just a fun place to be. Video conference facility. Obviously, this community takes this startup gig pretty seriously.
Very much so. And it's done well for many, and that's kind of where I started all my companies. So
okay, yeah, okay, very, very cool. So you're a published author. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the book that you just wrote?
Well, the book is called Passion in Action, and it basically highlights 6 people that from all different walks of life, and they show how they turn their passion into making money. We have Coach Dale Brown, who is the one that found Shaquille O'Neal. We have Jamie Anderson, who just won the gold in Sochi, not just, but so all these different people from all different walks of life, and they all show and share their story on how they become successful and don't define success just by dollar bills, but they use their passion and they follow their passion daily, and that's what I'm trying to invoke into others. You're the only one that's getting in your way typically.
Sure.
But sometimes you just need to see that from different angles to understand it, and that's what my book is for, is it helps them pursue their passion to make a career out of it.
Well, and I'm sure you found out through the many things that you have done over the years that sometimes the people that are closest to us are the ones that are the gatekeepers to us moving forward.
Very much so. You always have to watch and be cautious of who you surround yourself with, because it's very, very true. Those who you surround yourself with, that's your future. So if you want to be motivated and passionate, then you can't hang around those that aren't. It's very basic, but a lot of people don't follow that. So.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about the publishing process. Now, you have gone through the process of printing a book as well as having a digital version of your works. So is the process as easy? Is it harder? Are they just different? I mean, explain a little bit between the two.
Well, typically, for me, it was my first book published. But if you want to not make a print, it's very, very easy, and that's why Amazon had 5 million books available, 10 years ago, and now they have 15 million, because anybody can type something on a Word document, upload it, and make it available.
Okay.
It's not going to be purchased because it's probably not great quality.
Sure. But
any ebook can be turned into print. If you choose Amazon or KDP, which is the Kindle Direct Publishing, it's easier to create a digital version of your book that's ready for print. And then once you upload it, if you decide that you want to pursue or allow others to print it as opposed to just download it, it's all done for you.
I see. Yeah. Is that kind of the process that you go through then?
That's the process that we went through, and Amazon has a huge reach. They obviously make money from the sale of your book, so you just want to make sure that you go through the specifics on royalty fees and just read through it. You don't need to spend 5 days on it, but just be aware that you're going to you're not going. If you sell a book for $20, you're not going to get $20.
Right. Right.
But it's the same process, really. We designed it for download, but we also did it to the quality where if we wanted to in the future have somebody order directly from Amazon, it'd be in their mailbox in physical format. That's what we did, and it's worked out real well.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about I know you have many other business ventures, but there's one in particular that you wanted to talk about today. So let's get into that.
It's it's called Limitless, and that's LIMB. It's a nonprofit for adaptive and wounded veteran communities, and we actually designed a global social network, similar to Facebook, but obviously much different in a variety of ways. But it's for people to connect that are in the adaptive community, and that could be somebody missing a limb, could be a visual impairment, could be wheelchair bound, and also a veteran that's suffering from PTSD. And there's not a lot of resources as far as connecting people. So this social network, you go to limitlesslife.org, and you can sign up if you're in the profession, prosthetics, if you are an adaptive person. It's a place for you to connect and grow.
Okay, and I will have all of these links, by the way, we're talking about later on thetechranch.com, everybody. So if you're driving or whatever, don't feel like you have to, make quick notes or whatever. We will have those links a little bit later. So, and with that, tell us a little bit about your life here, maybe in the Meridian, Boise area. Are you a lifelong resident of the area?
I am. I was born and raised here. I went to L.A. and did some stand-up comedy. Realized I wasn't funny anymore. So
you're no stranger to a mic is what you're saying. Interesting.
Yeah. Came back and started a private investigation firm, and that's what we sold 3 years ago and retired. But I've been born and raised here. Love the community. Specifically, I love Meridian. It's a great place. It's a safe place. It's excellent schools. And I just can't say enough about it, except for it gets so much recognition that people are moving here in the droves, which causes, some issues.
So there's obvious challenges when an area is growing. There's no doubt. So has this area always been strong in the tech arena?
I think primarily early on it was Boise. But over the last 10 to 15 years, Meridian has absolutely exploded and grown to the point where businesses are now seeking out Meridian for cost purposes, tax reasons, and a variety of other reasons. But Meridian's kind of the hub. It's the place to go, and facilities like this just support that.
Sure.
And there's a tremendous number of wonderful small businesses here in Meridian that I know have transplanted from other cities and states because it's just a prime market for owning and running a company.
Now, I noticed that I think the curator of Unbound here, we were talking about the co-working spaces and that type of thing in the area, seems to be building as well. And to me, that's always a good sign that when you have emerging co-working spaces, that you have a vibrant startup community.
Absolutely. And, I think the wonderful thing is that you have the support of others. And, somebody told me a long time ago, if you're trying to do everything on your own, stop, because you're only going to get so far. So when you have that collaboration with experts in different areas, and it's all in one building, it's really awesome, and it's such a resource. It saves so much time and energy, and typically money. When if you need this or this, you go not to the phone book, or do they even make phone books anymore? You don't go to the internet. They're right there in the building, right?
Yep.
So it is a win-win-win. We love this philosophy of collaborating and having all different varieties of businesses in one location to benefit from each other.
And it kind of goes back to your book now, where when you surround yourself with like-minded people, like-minded things happen.
100% accurate.
So when and I always look at, I spend a lot of time in co-working spaces, and I always find that, if you're a programmer in Java and there's a company B that's sitting next to you in a co-working space, and they might need something in Java, it seems like sooner or later these two people kind of collaborate on a project. And, even though that other person's got their own startup going on, it seems like these people are always happy to help each other out because they know it comes back to them.
Absolutely. You help others, and in return you're going to get referrals. But I think the biggest piece is that when you have many companies within the same building, it forces, in a lack of a better term, to build relationships, and everything is about building relationships. And you're not going to treat a company right next to you badly, right? So we have these wonderful relationships, and truly everybody benefits from everybody.
All right, Ron, it's been a pleasure having you on the Tech Ranch. Really appreciate it. After the break, everybody, Miss Metaverse, Katie Aquino will be joining us when we're talking about the FAA registration of drones with our own tech geezer. Will be joining us as well. And then after that, we're going to get into a little bit about autonomous vehicles. So come on back.
Right Now 30.
And welcome back to the Tech Ranch, everybody. We're broadcasting live from Meridian, Idaho. USA Today ranks this town as the #1 place to live in the United States. They have a very emerging tech culture, startup culture going on here, and it's evident with where I'm sitting at. I'm in a place called Unbound, which is a co-working maker fair type of place, and they have a lot of cool things going on here. As you can probably see, if you're on Blab looking at us, you can see all the activity that's going on in the background. You probably hear it on their show as well. I want to thank all those listeners across the country and around the world who joined us on the Blueberry Network, on the Tech Podcast Network. We're on the Roku, iTunes, and we have our own app, Radio Pup. So all kinds of places you can catch the Tech Ranch a little bit later. And Jim's asking how the weather is here. So, Jim, the weather is fine.
Well, I was going to say, you're right on the edge of the Pacific Northwest. So I'm wondering if it's radically different from here.
I found, this is my first time here, actually, and I found it interesting after I got through the mountains that it was eerily similar to North Dakota.
Okay, I was going to say, I mean, I know for a fact they do have 4 seasons there. It's not tropical there by any means. I was just wondering if it was more like eastern or western Washington State.
I would say, I mean, it would certainly be more eastern Washington State. So, I mean, it's very, very similar to North Dakota.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was really kind of surprised. Even the topographical parts, you get away from the mountains. Of course, there's always mountains in the background here, but in the valley, it's just eerily similar. I would say that they probably grow many of the same things. Well, in fact, I mean, you think about the Red River Valley, potato area as well.
Potato.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, joining us on the line, Miss Metaverse, Katie Aquino. How you doing, Katie?
I'm doing well, Molo. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, too. So enjoying some sunshine here down in Idaho. And I think back home, Jim, it's not quite that way yet, is it?
No.
So did the wind slow down a little bit?
The wind did die down somewhat. It's going to die down some more tonight. Right now, it's a little breezy, cloudy. It's right around the 30 mark, or we're only supposed to hit 33 today.
Okay. And I hear it's pushing towards the east. So, Katie, you're gonna get the brunt of this storm that just came through our area in just a day or so, the way it sounds.
Oh wow, we actually have snow right now. We had a couple freak blizzards over the last week or so. It was weird.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard New England got hit over the weekend, or was about to get hit with something.
Yeah, we had no warning, no nothing, and all of a sudden we had over 8 inches of snow, which is a lot for us here because we are below the snow belt. So.
It is kind of weird in today's age. We get so used to the weather forecast. I mean, talking about technology. To me, it always amazes me when you wake up in the morning expecting maybe flurries overnight and you have a foot of snow on the ground.
Exactly, it is.
I think everybody gets kind of shocked when that happens occasionally. So let's get into the drone situation, Katie. So Jim actually brought this up to me a couple days ago, sent me an article that he found someplace, and then I kind of tasked you. And Jim, why don't you set this story up?
Refresh my memory. I've sent you so many stories over the last week or so. Which one?
You have, actually. It was the one with the registration of drones.
Oh, yeah, they're talking about, that was the controversy about getting your drones registered, and they're saying if you don't have them registered by now, you could have a bit of a problem.
Well, and
I don't have the story in front of me here. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to say, as I dug into this a little bit more, I found out more information about this, and I think Katie probably found some other information as well. So why don't you bring us up to date, Katie?
Sure. So this whole FAA drone registration thing began around back in December because it was right before the holidays and everything, and of course, everyone's getting drones for Christmas or Hanukkah and everything. So the FAA had set a new registration program where drones had to be registered starting on December 21st. And this is called, in quotes, a part of an educational effort to instruct operations about the operators, about the rules that apply to recreational drones, meaning that it's kind of making sure that people who are flying these drones have some kind of foundation, some kind of education, some kind of structure so that they're not just buying these things and flying them into buildings or on the people's property.
Privacy issue is the privacy issue is a big thing too.
Right.
It is. It definitely is. I mean, we've heard so many stories on the news already, and I know there's a lot of drones being talked about here in New York City. A guy was just arrested for flying his drone into the Empire State Building.
Yeah. I sent you that story, Marlo, remember?
I didn't see that one, actually.
Somebody actually flew. Now, we're talking, we're obviously not talking some major thing. We're not talking about a 9/11 thing, and I certainly wouldn't make a joke about that. But, yeah, somebody lost control of their drone, and it flew into the Empire State Building.
Unreal.
Exactly.
Unreal.
Well, the problem is that with drones, they have to be connected to the web, and if they don't, they get lost, and then, it's hard in a busy city like that, to make sure your drone stays connected.
Right.
Oh, I got my web connection working, guys, and the article I'm looking at here, this is the one you're talking about. If you register your drone with the FAA, kiss your privacy goodbye.
Yep. Yep. And what I have when I went to look at this a little bit, even your 13-year-old child, if you registered, their information is now available online.
And that's not good.
It's not good.
Not good.
And I think about when, it doesn't matter what side of this you're on, but, there were some papers not that long ago that were publishing lists of gun owners in their area. And I don't know why that just occurred to me when I was reading this story, but that's kind of how I feel about this. You really want your neighbors to know, that you have a drone. I mean, I don't know, and I guess that's what we're debating here.
It is. I mean, there's that fine line between having safety and losing privacy, and I feel that I don't agree with releasing everybody's names to the public because they have a drone. I think that, maybe having registration could be a good thing. If someone is flying onto your property or you're being harassed or something like that, there should be some kind of thing to help protect people and the public. But I don't agree with taking away people's rights or taking away their, giving their information out or making it public. That's not good.
And I agree with that, and in an era where we live in, identity theft issues and that type of thing, this is just one other piece of the puzzle that you have to do. And when you register your drone, right, by the way, you have to put in, either your Social Security number or your driver's license number or something along those lines. And all of a sudden, our government is actually making this public. And I think I'm sure a lot of people have a real issue with that. So I think what's going to happen moving forward is that people who have those type of fears of having that information public will now probably not be registering their drones.
Right. And that's a problem as well. It's how are they going to make sure every single person registers their drone? I mean, it seems, I don't know, it's very odd.
Yeah, it is. It's like putting a Band-Aid on something that needs stitches or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
I'm trying to give you the best analogy I can come up with here. So,
the deadline's coming up.
Is there anything, Katie, that they're going to fix this hole in their software, or is this just going to be the way it is?
I think it's just going to be the way it is. I'm not really too sure about what they're going to do in the future and how they're going to handle this. But, I mean, I was wondering, too, would they be making people register in order to even make the drone work? I mean, that would be another way they could go about it, I suppose.
It's very interesting to me, and I actually have put off registering my drone because I think you had till the middle of February to do so. I shouldn't say drones. I guess I do have drones.
February 19th.
February 9th?
February 19th.
Oh, 19th. Thank you very much. So I have 11 days left to do this. So, wow. I mean, I'm on the air saying this. I'm not sure if I'm going to register my drone or not because of this. So I'm hoping that they will fix this, or, I mean, I hate to be one of those that is not going to fly a drone. I don't know. I mean, would I fly a drone or not? I don't know.
Well, Marlo, you said it from the beginning. When we were first talking about this even happening, you said it yourself. You're like, this is ridiculous. Look at all these fake websites that were popping up. There was all these people who were launching these fake websites to collect people's information, pretending to be the official registration website for registering your drones. Now, anyone can create a fake website and say, oh, here, pay me $50 or pay me $25 and I'll register it for you. But then they're getting all of your information. So you have to be very careful. And, I would definitely, if you're going to register it, make sure that you use the FAA website, go directly to the source and deal with that. But as you said, Marlo, it's even that we just don't know. They have to figure it out. They have to find that the balance really bad.
Yeah, there are just so many issues right now with it, and I'm glad you brought that up with all the fake websites too. When you register your drone, if you're actually going to do this, make sure you register on the right drone, because I've heard rumors that almost 250,000 people have registered on the wrong website, not knowing. They hear the news that you're supposed to register, and then they got all these fake websites out there as well. So it's really become a big problem very, very fast, and people who. They're going to be a little disgusted when they find out that they didn't even register on the right website, and all of a sudden they put a credit card information in there, and people are now using their credit cards, because that was all what it was all about in the first place. So, all right, after the break, everybody, we will continue our conversation about this, and we're going to be getting into some great news about the development in autonomous highways. So come on back.
Right now, 32.
From Unbound, which is a place, Meridian, Idaho. Meridian, Idaho is ranked number 1 place to live in the United States by USA Today. Just based right outside of Boise here. They have a very, very interesting startup culture that is starting to bloom here in the area, and fun to talk to many, many of the people in here as well. And, of course, joining us on the phone is Miss Metaverse Katie Aquino, and we were just talking a little bit about the FAA regulations. Any final thoughts on that, Katie?
No, I think we wrapped it up. I really do think that, with these drones, it's best to maybe even wait. I'd hate to say that, but, do your research, look into it, find out what's going on with people's information, and let's work together to make sure that people's information is safe.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's probably, I think people need to have due diligence with this, and if you're going to be registering your drone, make sure you register on the right website, and know that information is public until the government decides that they're going to do something different about that. So, all right, moving on. Let's talk a little bit about some of the new things that are happening in the autonomous realm. And Katie, why don't you just explain to everybody what an autonomous vehicle is?
An autonomous vehicle are those type of cars that drive themselves. They're sometimes referred to as self-driving cars or driverless cars. It's cars that can essentially have the technology using sensors and LiDAR and all these different technologies so that they can drive themselves.
So my first question, I guess, is there are 5 levels of autonomy when it comes to vehicles. Level 1 would be, kind of what we have now, where there's no autonomy. Level 2 would be like an adaptive cruise control, where you're on the interstate or whatever, you can put it in cruise control and it'll keep the lane for you and have collision avoidance technologies built in, all the way up to level 5, which means that you hop in your car, you say, take me to Starbucks, and it takes you to Starbucks. So are you willing to hop in an autonomous car that's level 5?
I cannot wait for fully autonomous cars, level 5, however you want to describe it. I cannot wait for these autonomous cars to come because, A, driving makes me super nervous, and B, I think it's not safe. Humans are not reliable enough to operate machines like this. I honestly believe that. Every single time I get on the road here on Long Island or in New York City, it is just a complete gamble. It's people drive like maniacs, and I really believe that this will be very, very a good thing, a very good thing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are starting to fall into that realm. And the other thing is that driving, outside of the enjoyment of it, and I do enjoy driving. I mean, yesterday I got to drive through the mountains on my way out here, and I love the fact that I was able to do that. But as I was thinking about it, I'm like, what I enjoyed even more if I could just not even concentrate on driving and enjoy the scenery, that type of thing. So, you don't if you don't have to worry about it so much, you become a lot more productive as well. And I look forward to that day too. So moving forward now, we've had some interesting developments in the last couple of days, and I will let you go ahead and explain that as well.
Okay, so last year I came to visit over in North Dakota, and I went to the Central North American Trade Corridor Association with you, Marlo, and it was a great event. We were speaking about autonomous cars, and that was back when, before people were even really excited about all the autonomous trucks that are coming out. What are they called? The friendly trucks? The Freedom trucks, right?
Well, the autonomous friendly corridor, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So what's happening is that since then, now President Obama is looking to spend $4 billion to fill our roads with autonomous vehicles.
And it's kind of a very exciting part. I mean, it's part of a greater initiative. I think that we're on up to $40 billion. And before people get excited about this price tag, I think we should probably, again, whether it doesn't really matter what side of the aisle you're on here. They're looking at this for two reasons. First of all, the amount of fatalities and injuries that happen on our roads every year, they figure will be reduced by about, the fatalities alone, reduced by about 25,000 a year. I mean, that's a huge number. It's 90% reduction in fatalities. I mean, it is just a big, big number, and I can't imagine the hundreds of thousands of injuries, if not millions, a year. I'm not even sure what that number is. So those numbers will be drastically reduced. The other issue that we have is that, this country right now doesn't have the money to invest in infrastructure that's needed to, build new roads, make them safer, whatever that is, because building a road is very, very expensive. So they're looking at technology as a way to solve this, and of course, autonomous vehicles seem to be a good fit for that because, like we were just saying, in your area, for example, it's like driving a maze all the time, I'm sure, and you got to watch out for every little thing that's going on around you. Imagine if you just hopped in your car and your car just took you there, and it knew the quickest way to get you there and the safest route and where the accidents were, if there were any accidents at all, or if there's weather going on. And your car knows all of this information and will take you from A to B safely. I think that's what they're looking at.
Yes, it's all about making the roads safer and easier to drive on and ready for these autonomous vehicles. And it is going to be so huge, so many changes. I mean, I think the numbers are going to be staggering in comparison with, once cars are operating as almost like a hive, I see. I think that these cars are going to be able to all talk to each other, communicate with each other, be able to avert any kind of crashes or issues. And I think we're really going to see an exciting future. I mean, we are going from a time where our roads, our infrastructure here in America is just so bad. I mean, it's so bad. Here in New York, it's just potholes and just terrible, and it's not being used. Now that the technologies are coming out where we can make everything smart, we're going to have smart roads, smart highways, our cars are going to be able to turn from, being just seats and maybe a couple buttons to press or a DVD player to having fully operational mobile offices inside your car. I mean, Marlo, like you traveled from North Dakota to Idaho during that 18-hour trip or that lengthy trip you just did. I can only imagine how much work you could get done inside your car, making an office rather than having to focus on the road.
And I absolutely agree. You know, one of the interesting things, I was actually in the Microsoft Card CES a couple of weeks ago, and it's interesting that they are moving away from that this is actually going to happen to what's going to happen when you have your car in autonomous mode. So they're working towards that. Your whole dashboard, when you're in autonomous mode, goes into this office environment. So I can say, call Katie, and all of a sudden you and I are doing a video conference, you know, right on the dashboard. The dashboard's a monitor. I can start saying, add Katie to a meeting 9 a.m. Monday morning, and you're added to that meeting. So you're becoming more and more productive while you're in your vehicle, while you drive in autonomous. So that's what they're looking at now. They're looking beyond the technology of getting you from A to B and trying to figure out ways for you to become more productive while you're traveling.
Yes, and that is so exciting. I mean, I believe that everything will be so much more customized soon. We are going to, from our cars to everything, you know, even just how Apple started testing, you know, coming out with different kinds of colors for their phones. Those are little small things that are inching towards what will be a future when everything is totally customizable. And that's what people are going to expect. We, the people, will expect everything to be as we need it, If it has to be 3D printed from home, we will do that and be able to have things the way we want it, because we will have abundance. It'll be an abundant world. So it is very exciting.
So do you feel that PAVs are going to start taking their place as well, you know, personal air vehicles?
Yes, I definitely do. I mean, that flying drone, I forget the name of it now, but the one that was at CES this year, at 2016, that is really neat. It looks like a giant drone that you sit in, you can fly in. But What's great is that now, just recently, there was a crowdfunding campaign for a company that's making these cages that go over drones. So I could see these drone personal transportation vehicles being able to be safer than any other transportation out there. I mean, if you had a cage over your drone that you could fly in, it's so much safer than being in an airplane, you know, for those shorter distance trips.
Yeah, I do too. I think that personal air vehicles will start emerging, and I think the biggest thing about it is that as autonomous technologies develop, so will these, because a lot of people probably aren't that crazy about learning how to fly them, but if you can get into the vehicle and say, take me to wherever, and it'll just fly you there, a big deal. That is a very big deal.
Yes, so if you want to invest in a really amazing idea, I was watching YouTube the other day, and this really well-known YouTube celebrity, Casey Neistat, who is awesome, by the way. Definitely check him out on YouTube. There was an old episode where he had to fly a seaplane from Manhattan out to East Hampton, and I was thinking, wow, just imagine being able to make one of those drones, like a PAV, and then offer those kinds of rides from Manhattan to Long Island. You'll be killing it. Yep. So just putting that out there. Make sure you give me a ride when you build it.
All right, everybody. I appreciate you all joining us. Again, we're at Meridian, Idaho. I want to thank Meridian for having me here. I'm broadcasting from Unbound, which is a co-working makerspace. And I want to thank them as well, along with all of the guests that we had on, Ron Kern, Jody Voorhees, and a special thank you to Nick Grove for having me here also at Unbound. Until next week, everybody, have a safe week.
Okay, Marlo, talk to you next week, I guess. Thank you.
You've been listening to The Tech Ranch, live and local on Super Talk 1270. Keep ahead of the trends.
Tune in every Monday morning at 11 a.m. for The Tech Ranch.
Exclusively here on Super Talk 1270 and online at supertalk1270.com.
ABC News, Super Talk 1270. Accurate news, stimulating talk. This is KLXX AM, Mandan, Bismarck.